well, but like I really want to see just the initial opening. I just want to see something about the Core Tech. Let's keep watching. Maybe there'll be something about it.
Of Around the Verse. I'm Sandy Gardner.
And I'm Chris Roberts.
Today, we'll dive into scramble race lighting, gussing up rest stops, audio, and more. But
okay.
Not before checking out the latest from the in-game activities of our community.
Yes, so in a timely move, an org called Overdrive from our Russian community summoned the spirit of Evocati last weekend.
Using 57 Grey Cat buggies, a crew of 8 invoked the Star Citizen frontline playtesters by spelling out their name on an epic scale.
Saps.
Good timing on their part, with Alpha 3.3 testing released to the Evocati test group this past weekend. Now they continue to test the new 3.3 features and content, preparing it for a wider PTU release. They are also getting ready for OCS testing to make sure it's ready to go as soon as possible.
Happy testing to you all.
Okay,
now,
so Evocati is now testing. We're going to be testing OCS. I've got insider information as far as like some of the FOIP that's out there. They're telling me that the FOIP looks really good, and as I stated before, I think FOIP, in terms of what Star Citizen is going to do, is going to be a slight game changer. I really think people will think it's not important, but I think once you really are in the game and you're looking around and you're using your face and mouth and everything they're talking, and it just translates onto the character. I've actually seen some footage on the inside, and looks really good. It looks really good. So just so you guys understand, it's looking really good. And I wish I could show it to you, but I don't want to get my friend in trouble who's in the Evocati. So anyhow, let's go keep on going.
On to
here.
development updates. Here we are again at these scramble races. As the devs get these missions ready for prime time, a lot of fine-tuning is underway.
So right now, the mission team has been working with the lighting team to dial everything in. Here's Callum Hancock with more.
So in the old setup with the asteroid arenas, we didn't used to have any kind of lighting at all. The problem was that the minute the sun went behind yellow or was shaded in any way, the players had ended up running into asteroids. They had absolutely no chance.
Some of the best explosions in game. You know, like as far as the explosions in the game, I actually am very happy with them. A lot of the graphics that you see when you're flying around and you're shooting, they can be touched up a little bit, but the base is there as far as the explosions. A lot of people saying there's no explosions in space and stuff, but I mean, come on. It's very satisfying when you're in space and you blow something up and you have that, you know, like that's a debate though. That's a huge debate. Back to this.
Yeah, where the player comes around this asteroid, and even though the sun's out in the shade, they come around this corner and they've got no chance of seeing this other side of the asteroid. They're going straight into it, don't even realize it's there until the last minute. So to try and solve this, we ended up first trying to put in a cube map to add in lighting. We thought it looked good at first, but the lighting guys weren't too happy with it.
Welcome to the stream, Crown.
Too much light and ended up making the arena glow a little bit too much. To try and solve this and justify it, we added in these bits of cabling here and the antennas, tried to add in some practical lights to try and make it feel justified. It still was overpowering the scene a little bit too much. So after that, we had to go back to him and speak to him again.
Agree, I agree,
Sept. Another
Sebs.
solution, which was having these low intensity, low attenuation bulbs dotted around the outside.
So this is the type of lighting they're talking about when we fly around Hex. You know, like the lighting's where it's at. The lighting's cool. The lighting's sweet. You know.
Set really, really low. It's not making it glow or anything. It just adds just enough lighting to be able to see. It's still nighttime. It's still going to be a challenge to see most of it. But the player never really feels like they're being cheated, and they're not going to run into anything they had no chance of ever seeing at all.
So that's pretty interesting. So what other areas of the game are there that you have challenges lighting up the dark?
So we're looking at sort of both kind of more automated ways where we can sort of real-time do sort of physical, almost sort of global illumination stuff, building cube maps on the fly and stuff. Because what you want to do is you want to have at least a small amount of light or light bounce around so you can see things even when it's pretty dark. I mean, it's a challenge you have. And then, of course, we'll do specific things depending on locations. But
I agree with that. I agree.
It is a challenge. I mean, we're trying to light a whole universe within the game, so you don't run into.
And I only say that because, like, you can say, no, I want pure realism. I want a pitch black in certain areas, but it's just it's also very similar to the explosions in space depictions like Jeff and all of us were talking about. It's that same kind of argument, is like, you know, like the realism versus that kind of game feel, or you know, like that's a hard wire to tread, like very, very difficult, always that balance between the two. You know, some people go straight all realism, like, you know, like we're talking about, oh God, what's that game, Crom, we were looking at the other night that you linked in Discord, but like an Arma or those types of games where it's very realistic. You get those kind of combat simulation games where you know, it's just like ultra realism. And then you get like the arcadey version. So they're trying to, like, you know, very, very carefully tread the line between the two. And I would have to say I agree that there should be, like, at even some type of lighting at the lowest level of lighting where it's pitch black, where you still can kind of see some things, so that you're just not smack dab running. Imagine, you know, you're just flying and boom, and you smack into a dark side of Ash. You still need some type of the light generated on the surface of the very darkest parts, because you still want to have the ability not to just instantly smash into an asteroid while you're flying and never know it's there. So I get it.
I'll see.
Very cool. It's been a few weeks since we checked in on rest stops, and here we see work that the procedural tech team has done recently on various libraries.
The procedural generation, varying color schemes go a long way, along with varying, obviously, the shapes.
Sticking with the rest stops, here's a look at recent testing the procedural feature team has done on the approach to stations like this, from a pilot's perspective.
Oh, that's sexy. Okay. Okay. All right, I know I said that I wasn't gonna, like, get involved with the eye candy. I know I said I was gonna fall for any of the eye candy. When I first started this, I was like, I want Core Tech. I want them to focus on the Core Tech. But, like, I did get a little excited right there. I did. And see, that's the thing, right? That's the thing, right? Trash, right? Exactly. Like, you gotta be careful. You have to take a breath, right? They get you excited on the eye candy. Okay, the eye candy's good, but the eye candy's just candy, man. Rots your teeth. I mean, it's awesome, but you have to remember that we need to, like, this kind of disappoints me. Like, today, this week's ATV so far is disappointing me. Let's keep watching, though. Let's keep watching.
The props team continues to turn out more Lorville conversation pieces. Here we see hanging clothing, trash cans, and a lot of little details that really lend its personality.
Now let's look to vehicle
and
features. Ship teams have been busy getting onboard power plant systems up to spec. Junior gameplay programmer Jonathan Young can fill us in.
Let's give him a chance,
so
Trash.
We've also been working on
what else we got.
making the power system more consistent for a player to know what's going to happen when the system doesn't have enough power. We discovered that this meant that the items turned off in order as dictated in an XML, which meant that if a dashboard is first in the XML, then all your MFDs are going to turn off. To fix that, we've added per item priorities so that designers can set which items are more important than others. For example, you might want the shields to turn off
priorities,
the thrusters, so you can escape.
Power priorities.
And you want the dashboards to turn
You know,
off.
this is interesting. I'm glad they're putting this into the game. It's the power priorities that you see in the Elite Dangerous when you're playing Elite Dangerous. So that's exactly something that I think would be like a nice little upgrade for the game, but not like groundbreaking, but cool. Too much light bleed on those monitors. RMA them. Isn't everything only eye candy? There's no game that goes with all the crap they show us. You know, like I will say this though, Damon, like I have had experiences as a Star Citizen that have been stable, not always, right? Like there's those ups and downs when you're playing the game. But right now it's kind of like a just kind of go out and see things kind of experience. That's all Star Citizen is right now. And you know what? If that's where they're at with it, they need to actually expand the universe, and that's why they're doing what they're doing, is trying to expand the universe as fast as possible, so that they're going to give us more kind of sightseeing experiences, more feels. And I get what they're doing, that they're kind of expanding it to give us the time to breathe. Hopefully CitizenCon coming up is something, you know, that actually makes us go, okay, good, solid good, not eye candy good. You know, I don't want more eye candy. Like this episode so far, you know, I don't want more eye candy stuff. I want more like substantial. This is what's happening with the Core Tech. I really want them to focus on the Core Tech.
quite late so that you can still manage all your systems and still see what the status of your ship is.
So tell me how this system affects your overall flight experience.
Well, I mean, basically, it's the power management and the management of the different items. And so you want to manage your power in a way that keeps your ship working at optimal capability. And then you could turn off certain systems, so you would then have more power available for your shields and more power available for your engines. And it would sort of go down the list. And you as a player can go in there and tweak what you think the priorities are. I mean, you probably wouldn't want to put the life support down at the bottom. But the idea is to sort of manage it, because you don't have to do it all. You don't have to micromanage all this if you don't want to. It will take, we already have priorities and a rule set for it. But if you do want to micromanage it, then you can sort of maximize your experience.
The irony of him talking about micromanaging the actual power systems within a ship is almost making me feel like how SIG is being managed. Like, like you can hear him explain this, and it's like, why don't you just lay off the micromanaging? I know it's completely separated, but it's making me feel like he's actually talking about the inner workings of SIG when he's talking about the power management of the ships.
Experience out in space or in combat. And so I think that's kind of the model we're going for is, you should be able to get in and it should be kind of fun and simple. But if you really want to learn all the systems and tweak things,
which is good, that's cool.
You can be a better
I like that about Elite.
Better trader or combat.
It's an elite. It's an elite dangerous kind of thing.
This is one of the aspects of that.
I think I would let the ship do its thing. The audio team has
Wait,
been
what?
here fine-tuning.
Sadie's like, fuck that noise. I don't have the time for power management. That's what she just did.
The sound effects for the Karna rifle from Castec Arms, as well as tweaking weight distribution to make footsteps sound more realistic.
Distinct sounds are now being triggered when a player walks backwards or sideways. Footsteps now get noticeably quieter while the player is crouching, and each foot has their own separate audio identity for more dynamic sound in all of these cases.
The focused audio feature is applied here, with footsteps amplified when the player is looking down at their feet.
So we got into that within, I think it was the last episode, we were talking about being able to hear sounds depending upon where you're facing. I think that's going to be a huge deal when you're playing the game, especially with a headset, and you combine that with the FOIP and the VoIP together, combined with the hearing. It's going to be like a very cool auditory sensory experience, and I'm cool with that. But again, like, I still feel like this is all like the frills and stuff.
Finally, we go to narrative director David Haddock and senior motion capture specialist Joe Ponsford for a look at a recent mocap shoot that was just done in the UK.
What we're doing here is we've come out to grab some performance capture for some of the generic NPCs that the players will be sort of coming across in some of our.
Okay, and this is interesting because, like, I remember watching like mocap stuff from like 2015, 2016, and this is just something that happens in game design. Like, for instance, in particular, they're having interactions with certain types of NPCs, and the NPCs aren't doing exactly what they want as far as the action's concerned, so they gotta go back in, they gotta do some more mocap. This is just like adding and editing is all this is, and this is a scary thing as Star Citizen starts to get bigger, is like the project in itself is running longer and longer, and as the things that they did 2 years ago become, basically prehistoric, they have to take those things from 2 years ago, boom, update them into, and then boom, and then it starts going on, and then they continue to go back every 2 years updating this thing, and that's kind of like a worrisome thing, and this is a good example of what I'm talking about. Damon.
This is where we're shooting motion capture, audio and facial simultaneously in one complete system. So we're using LTC timecode to basically create a sync between the 4 separate systems, and then we have a private own application where we look to sync the facial with the motion capture.
Okay, good.
With the audio. So when we press trigger, it passes the record, and it also passes the take name as well. What we do is we record video reference at the same time as we're shooting. We track the takes that have been made by Direct Select. These are based.
The same thing that you're seeing here in the mocap is the same technology that they're going to use for the FOIP, which is the face recognition software that's going to basically, you know, capture your face and then display that onto the character in the game, which I did a video about that, and I think it is kind of like a game changer, because a lot of people go, oh well, you got that in like GTA. Yeah, come on, give me a fucking break, dude. Like, you know, like, I mean, the mouth moves and stuff, but it's nothing like what's going to be happening in the game here. You're literally going to be able to read people's faces. And for those people that are like, well, it doesn't matter because we're going to have a helmet on the entire time. What the fuck are you guys talking about? You're going to have a helmet on the entire time. Yeah, you probably will have helmets on a lot of the time, but when it comes down to, like, people are going to play different roles. There's going to be people that are just going to sit on planets and trade sometimes. Those people, you know, if it's especially if it's a planet that's oxygen, has oxygen, and it's a life planet, you know, it's like an Earth-based type planet like Terra. You know, those types of planets that can support life where you can be outside without a helmet. People are going to be walking around without helmets. You know, I thought that was the weirdest argument. I got a lot of comments. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this, but I got a lot of comments on my videos where people were saying, oh, we're just going to wear helmets all the time, so FOIP doesn't matter. And I was like, what? Like, what? Like, I didn't understand that.
Based on the time code, so we can ensure that as soon as director says, okay, I want it from this time point, we track it from there, and then we pass it on to the animation team. The animation team then do a polish, and then this gets put straight into the game engine.
That looked like fun. I miss mocap.
Yeah, and that was a little week shoot that was done at the very beginning of this month. Dave was over there with Will Weisbaum. We had some stuff that we needed to pick up for 3.3 and now what we're calling 3.35.
Oh, you see how he glossed over that? You know, like he's really like he is really aware of it. You know, like I feel bad for Chris sometimes. I mean, there are some times where I'm just like, dude, like it's gotta be the hardest job in the world. You know, like. I mean, yes, he's made a shit ton of money, but like there's a small part of me that's just like, dude, he like catching shit on the daily for 3.3.5. And you know, 3.3.5 reminds me of 3.0. Do you remember how long we all waited for 3.0? Like we waited forever for 3.0, and people were really upset that it took so long to get out. Then 3.0 came out, it was completely buggy, and we were all like, what the fuck is this? 3.3 fixed some of the stability issues, but now I think we're in another 3.0 situation. I hope 3.3.5 gets out ASAP.
Stuff for some of the FPS AI, as well as stuff for Lawville.
You guys are cracking me up in the chat.
What do you want to start at CitizenCon?
I like it. Yeah, speaking of the 3.3 part for CitizenCon, there are less than 50 tickets left for CitizenCon 2948, and we would love to see you there on October 10th in Austin.
On a Wednesday.
So you still can. And if you happen to be in France the weekend of October 12th and 13th, our French community is organizing a fan-driven event in Orly called Paris Vest.
And it looks like it's going to be a great event, similar to community-organized meetups like BritizenCon in the UK and Con42, which was just recently held this past weekend in Germany. They have activities and tournaments planned, and tickets are still available. So if you're going to be in the area, you should check it out. And I think there's a rumor that Brian Chambers may go there.
Ooh, Brian Chambers.
On his way back from CitizenCon. So
there you go. Cool. Very popular is Brian Chambers. And that's it for us this week. Don't forget to tune into Reverse the Verse live tomorrow at noon Pacific on Twitch.
Yeah, and thanks to all the subscribers, as well as each and every backer. Until next time, we will see you
around the verse.
I don't know, guys. I was disappointed by that one. You know, yeah, I had a very similar comment to that. Actually, you know, like somebody was telling me on one of my videos, their comment was essentially as like, who wants, it was the exploration video that I did, and it was like we were worried about exploration. We did a video about 2 weeks ago on my YouTube channel. We were talking about exploration, and the guy says, who wants to just be able to go everywhere? You just want to be able to go to point A to point B. And I was thinking to myself, is this what the fuck is this guy? This guy obviously isn't an explorer. And I commented to him, I'm like, dude, the reason why we play these games is to escape Like, we want to escape. We want to be out there. We want to be able to go wherever we want to go. So that was an interesting conversation that I had about exploration. And I think that was on like 2 ATVs ago. But what do you guys think about this ATV? Yeah, Jeff is right. Not a ton of content. You know, a bit of flash, and that's about it. It's a little flash and a pan, and that's it. And these types of episodes like really kind of make me feel like what's going on, you know. And I really think they need to have like a very detailed ATV about the core tech. I think that is overdue. I think they really need to get in the meat and potatoes, and I don't care how nerdy it gets. I want to hear them explain to me as best they can in layman's terms on what is happening with the core tech. I want to know how far we are. I don't want to look at the roadmap and, you know, like people say, well, this is the roadmap. And then, you know, like we all know that the things on the roadmap get pushed way back sometimes. I've yet to see or hear about the core gameplay mechanics. Yep. Thank you so much, Jeff. The ATV was meh. Absolutely agree with you. Crom, if I have a very expensive ship that only does a watery storm, okay, I'll be pissed. Damon throwing in his fun. DY says Sitcom better be able to knock our socks off, and yes, and I'll tell you what about Citizen Con there, DY. If Citizen Con is just like another like mega eye candy thing, and it has nothing to do with the game's performance, stability, optimization, core tech, OCS, any of the things that I'm most concerned about, and that is not at Citizen Con, they will have completely dropped the ball on this one. So they have to be very careful. They're losing people, and I hate that. I hate that because I really want the game to be a reality. So what we have to do as a community to make the game function and work, and this is what you won't hear from other people because they're too scared to tell you this for whatever reason, probably because they're being sponsored by the very people that they're, you know, reviewing. This is what you will not hear. You will not hear somebody tell you to just rationally voice in a nice way out there within the community, every community you go to, and talk about these things and say that the important things are the core tech and say that we need to hold them accountable and get that message out there. Otherwise, they're not going to focus on the things that actually need to be focused on because they're too worried about little bullshit that people are screaming about, like all the minority amount of people that have the loudest voices and nobody else voices up because they're too worried. They're too worried that they might get, you know, online bullied or, you know, doing this for as long as I have, I've seen some really shitty comments. I've actually like seen some really low and sometimes threatening comments towards me. And it's really strange, you know, and I talk about that in the toxic community video. But for the most part, a lot of the citizens out there are great. They just don't talk. They just don't say anything. So like, you know, kind of like keep that in mind, guys, when, you know, like if you really want this game to come out, then what I would suggest is that you be a little bit more vocal and you be a little bit more rational and they actually stand up, you know, and, you know, whether, you know, and I'm not saying like pro Star Citizen or against con Star Citizen. I'm just saying like be the rational individual in the middle and be like, here, these are the facts. And I'm just going to say it like it is, you know. ATV now sponsored by Trojan Condoms, preventing bad ideas since 1918, dude. I haven't bought a ship nor upgraded since 3.0. I'm personally done till I get some decent content and more stabilization. And I agree with you, Crumb. And I've said the same thing. I just talked about that in the Hammerhead video. It is going to be very interesting to see how the major news outlets cover SitCon. It should be. I'm going to follow that too, Jeff. I'm going to kind of see what's going on as far as any type of you know, media outlets kind of posting the events as they go on. And also I'm curious on I mean, you know, to me, Sig and Chris primarily, because he even told everybody it was his fault the way that these digital tickets came out. It was just a fiasco. It was an absolute mess. Promotion wise, it's probably one of the dumbest things I've ever seen them do, and they've done a lot of dumb things. So we need also a voice that tells Chris directly and the people that are the upper management, hey, you know, Chris, let people do their job that they were hired for, man. You know, don't necessarily micromanage every single aspect of every little mechanic that every single one of your workers gets into. Let them dribble the ball a little bit and play the game. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't have to be a ton of content, just something that shows me that things are going in the right direction. Yes, because for so long, and I'd say for the past couple months, I feel like we're going in a direction that is not the best direction. So like, I think again, which just, I reiterate this, it is important to have a rational, kind voice. You got to keep it civil. You got to keep it professional, and you got to just say the things that are on our minds without the worry of people. And you're going to see a lot of people, like lash out. You're going to see, so if that's something you're not comfortable with, don't do it. But I will say this, even if it's a little bit uncomfortable, if you love the game and you just put it out there. Because if you really want the game to be created, the voice needs to be heard. And we did that. And we've been doing that. And I think that's important to continue to do. There are some great middle managers that work for SIG, says Jeff. Let them do their jobs. Exactly, Jeff. Having a realistic NPC with awesome voiceover scripts, but if the mission sucks, it won't last. Yeah, Crom. Now Saps is talking about Chris and how he looks. I won't read that, Saps. So anyhow, thank you, everybody. I think that's a pretty good. I mean, there wasn't much here, to analyze, and not with like the other previous episodes. So I kind of felt this. I called it right before I saw it. I'm like, oh God, the title's mocap, Mo Light, and I'm thinking to myself, it's not where you need to go, SIG. You need to go in the direction that gives people the faith that they need to know that it's going in the right direction. You're hearing it here on DaGaimez. You're seeing the comments here on this particular video. You're seeing our fans live talking about what matters to them. You're hearing what matters to me. And I think that's why the show is very important. Thank you, everybody, for watching another Around the Verse here. This is our 4th one consecutively. Thanks, guys, for showing up to this. And it's nice. We've been getting anywhere from 10 to 15 people. And I hope to continue to increase these, get the word out there. Every Thursday after the Around the Verse, we're going to do this. And then I will post this particular stream over to my YouTube channel. So, you can share that. And I think this is important. This is rational discussion about what it is that we are watching together. And a lot can be accomplished that way. And we can actually have an effect if we continue to grow this. So thank you so much, everybody. Lady was here. Thank you, Lady, for being here. Appreciate you, who's making me laugh in our Discord. I'm going to type this for our Discord. For our YouTube channel, that's all. Thanks so much, everybody on YouTube, for watching. Make sure to check out my Patreon page if you like the content. We'll keep it rolling. I definitely need some help, so consider it. And if you do, thank you so much. And thanks so much, YouTube. See you on the next vid.